Hi, my name is Katie and welcome to the How to Be a Minimalist YouTube channel. Thanks for joining me. If you're new around here, I do plant-based foods as well as a lot of kind of simple living lifestyle stuff. So I hope you enjoy. I just got back from the gym and I need to get to work cooking now. I kind of tend to do an every 2 to 3 days big cook where I make bread and I make a couple of different things to keep in the fridge. I cook up some starches for a couple of days. That way I don't have to go crazy cooking every single day, and it works for me. I have found a lot of success eating really clean just by being prepared. So today I'm going to make some pasta. I'm going to steam some potatoes and I'm going to make some red beans and lentils. It's so delicious. I love that dish so much. If you ever had the Madras lentils, they used to be vegan when they very first came out, I think, and they now have dairy in them. So I had them in the very beginning when they made them and they changed the recipe. At any rate, that is what this red beans and lentils taste like to me. It is so good. So I'm gonna make those 3 things in an Instant Pot. I love that granola. It's a great after dinner, kind of a dessert type of a thing. It's very satisfying. I gave up chocolate in the form of chocolate bars. So I do still like to have something sweet though. So either an apple with some peanut butter or having a little bit of granola tides me over when I am having a little craving. So I need to make that. I ran out of that when I made that this morning for breakfast. I need to make bread and I have a bunch of fruit and vegetable prep that I need to take care of. So that is what's on the list today. Let's just get right into it. I know some people will take issue with me cooking pasta in my Instant Pot, but I'm a rebel. And for me, it works, so I'm going to do it. This is about 17 ounces of pasta. I think that's what's in my package here. And I'm going to put 4 cups of water, like a scant 4 cups. And I'm going to cook it at high pressure, quick release in my Instant Pot for 4 minutes. And it comes out like perfect every time. It's pretty awesome. Ooh, a little salt too. Easy as that. My pasta is going. I need to make up my salad for the day as well as my husband's. So I'm going to get to chopping that up, and while I'm at it, I'm just going to keep on chopping a few things on my cutting board that need to be taken care of. So let's go and do that next. I have 2 big heads of romaine lettuce and I plan to chop up both of them. There will be enough for at least 4 side salads as well as a taco salad dinner tomorrow night, but I'm also wondering if I can add it to some wraps or other things like that. I basically want to fill up this container so that there's enough to go around for a few days. Okay, so I made a full thing of pasta. My family can't eat a full thing of pasta in one night. This is not gonna work. My family cannot eat a whole package of pasta, like a 1-pound package of pasta in one night. So I made up the whole thing. These will go into a vegetable noodle soup. And I pre-cooked them because I'm going to use a little seasoning barley soup mix thing that I made. And I want to cook that separate because the barley takes like 22 minutes to cook in an Instant Pot, I think. and my noodles will be mush if I do that. So I'm gonna just put these in the jar. Those will go in the fridge, and then once that's done, in my Instant Pot, when I make it in a couple of days, I'll just add this in and it will be great. The rest of this I'm gonna put in a container, and it's going to be for a pasta and vegetable dish. I won't have to get out another pot or something like that and boil the water. It will be really easy. I'll just saute my vegetables, add this in, warm them up, and we'll be good to go to eat that. Okay, so I'm gonna chop up these 2 onions as a bit of food prep. I know I need it for the soup in a couple of days, but I also know that I'm going to put it into the red beans and lentils recipe tonight. I figure might as well do that. I also think I'm going to make a vegetable pizza later on this week on Friday. I think we're gonna start doing some pizza night stuff, and I will want onion on there. So chopping these 2 up, and hopefully that will last for those 3 recipes.
My plan with these potatoes is to use them for a breakfast hash for my kids, as well as some type of potato casserole. I know it will cook a lot faster if those potatoes are already cooked, so that is my plan with those.
Okay, so far we've got our bananas done. We have the potatoes in the Instant Pot. We cooked our pasta. What else? Chopped up a bunch of vegetables, so we have our onions ready to go. Put away the bananas. I wanted to deal with a bunch of that fruit. I actually have a pineapple that I kind of want to chop up too, but we'll see if we get to that. Right now, while the potatoes are cooking, before I make the red beans and lentils, I'm going to start bread dough, and while that is rising, I'm going to make up my granola. So that is what we're gonna do next.
When I was a kid, I would always ask my mom for a little piece of bread dough when she was making bread. She would make just tons of loaves at a time. And of course, the first loaf, when it was all warm, was the best. Sometimes she would get out some honey and put it on there for us. It was so, so good. I don't know when my mom learned how to make bread, but her bread is the best bread in the world. I swear it is. She is so good. But I watched her when I was a little child, and I would always ask her for a little piece of dough so that I could make my own bread pan out of aluminum foil and bake it up. She usually was really sweet about it and gave me some, even though that was probably very annoying. Maybe she'd gotten into the habit of just making a little extra because she knew I would ask for some. By the time I was 12, I could make my own loaf of bread, but I always asked to knead the dough for her, or was happy to do it when she asked me when I was younger than that. You can make it in a mixer, but there's something about making bread by hand that is really educational, and it allows you to know what dough is really supposed to feel like. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Remember, flour adjustments are totally going to vary depending on where you live. So it's better to have a wetter dough than a drier dough. So make sure you're careful about that, but have fun making bread. I I have shared a granola recipe previously here on YouTube, and this one is just a little bit different. Basically, it has morphed over time into not using oil or not using nut butters or things like that. At this point, I use a peanut butter powder and have had a lot of fun experimenting with various add-ins. When I made the granola this time, I decided that I was going to use Brazil nuts, as well as some shredded coconut, raw pumpkin, and sunflower seeds. It turned out being a really, really delicious combination. There are so many different ways that you can make this granola. It's awesome. As long as you have 2 cups of oats as the base, as well as 1 1/3 cups of add-ins, and you keep those liquid measurements about right, it works out really well. I also loved the pumpkin pie spice instead of cinnamon. I usually use cinnamon. This is definitely a combination that I will be using in the future. I also noticed that the shredded coconut added like a fluffiness to it, so it kind of reminded me of store-bought granolas. There's one in particular that it reminded me of, but I can't remember the name of it. In this batch, I decided to use only a little bit more than 1/3 cup of maple syrup to sweeten it, and it's very lightly sweet, but I tend to eat this with fruit, which adds its own sweetness, so it was perfectly sweet to me, but it is very lightly sweetened if you only add in 1/3 cup of maple syrup. So if you like things a little bit sweeter, you could add in a little bit of sugar, you could add in 1/2 cup of maple syrup to this, and then it'll be quite sweet. But you could also just make it with 1/3 cup, see if you like it. Especially if you're going to eat it with fruit, it's really nicely sweet. But if you don't find that it is sweet enough, you can always add a little bit of maple syrup to your milk when you eat it. So keep that in mind. I have made this in so many different ways. I have made it with almonds and shredded coconut and some vegan chocolate chips. I have made it with peanut butter type of flavorings where I had extra peanuts and I put cocoa powder in and cacao nibs or something like that. There are a lot of different ways that you can do this. The big thing is that you want to stick pretty close to about 1 cup to 1 1/3 cups of the add-ins, and you want to keep the oats and the liquid ratios correct. So keep that in mind, but have fun with this recipe. There are a lot of things you can do with it. Here's our nice loaf of bread. It had a good amount of time to sit around, and it's really nice and elasticy. I am just pinching the seam there so it doesn't come undone, and you have to give it a pat before you're done with it, and we'll cover it and let it rise.
Pin has dropped on my Instant Pot, which means my steamed potatoes are done. I'm gonna pull those out. I'm ready to make the red beans and lentils right now. You could make it on the stovetop. I don't know what the measurements would be because I'm using dry lentils and dry red beans, but I just love my Instant Pot, and if anytime I can use it, anytime it will save me time or effort, I use it. It's awesome. I also love the keep warm function, so I'm going to make it right now even though dinner is several hours away, and then I'm just going to let it sit and stay warm, and the flavors will become more enhanced and all of that, so it's just going to get more delicious as it sits all day. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope it gave you some ideas of how prepping ahead of time can help you save time later on, as well as, you know, double batch cooking or things like that, making it more feasible to cook healthier foods, scratch foods, and things like that.
Our red beans and lentils just need to be lightly mashed, and we need to add in a half a cup of some kind of a vegan sour cream. This actually is cultured vegan yogurt that I made, but you can use a lot of different things. It is not much to look at, quite frankly, but the flavor is so rich and delicious. It is one of my favorite meals. Remember, it is all about the experiences, not the stuff, and I'll see you next time.